Dang, this thing is freaking tiny, but where's the third motor? So Zhiyun sent over their brand new Smooth X iPhone gimbal. They also sent over a couple of extras as well. So if you want to find out how to win one, then stick around to the end. However, like all reviews, whether it's sponsored or not, I'm always going to give my honest opinion so you know exactly what you're going to get. Now, to be honest, my first thoughts of this gimbal were, how is this actually going to stabilize with only 2 motors? Because typically in the past on all gimbals we have 3 motors to stabilize the 3 different axes. And look, I'll be honest and straight up, this is not a perfect gimbal, but I also don't think Zhiyun was ever expecting this to take over the 3-axis gimbal market. But I wanted to go into this review with an open mind, considering all the amazing digital stabilization technology that's going around right now, like Hypersmooth and Flow State, and even the new stabilization that's in the brand new iPhone. So the Zhiyun Smooth X is a foldable 2-axis smartphone gimbal that is absolutely tiny compared to any other gimbal on the market today. The Zhiyun Smooth X is made of plastic, charges via a USB-C port, and has a 3/4 inch thread on the bottom to attach a stand or other accessories. And how they're able to make it so small is by only stabilizing the pan and roll axis and not the tilt axis. Now, if you're like me, this would have confused the heck out of you because every gimbal pretty much on the market today is a 3-axis gimbal. So what makes this so different? Now, pretty much all smartphones today in 2020 have some sort of digital stabilization built in, which just helps get rid of those little micro jitters and those little shakes. And Zhiyun has tried to make the most of this by using the camera's digital stabilization to correct for that tilt axis and then actually removing the motor to make it even smaller. Now, before you can use the Smooth X, you actually have to activate it on the ZY Cami app. You basically open it up, connect the gimbal via Bluetooth, sign up, and then you can activate it. I'm not sure exactly why you have to activate it, but this is what you have to do to be able to use the gimbal. To balance the gimbal, we simply put our phone into place with the cameras on the left side and make sure the phone doesn't tilt left or right. Then we can turn it on and it is ready to go. Now, hands down, this has to be the easiest gimbal I have ever balanced in my entire career. Now, if you don't balance it correctly, it may still work. It might not work as good, but the main thing is it's gonna put a lot more stress on the motor, so it might not last as long and it might burn out quicker. So always make sure that before you turn it on, the camera doesn't tilt left or right. It has this little rubber grippy bit on the back of the roller, which seemingly doesn't really actually do anything except look cool, but also when you put it down, I guess it doesn't really scratch up the surface and kind of acts as a bit of a soft point. And to actually open up the gimbal, we pull it up ever so slightly and turn the arm counterclockwise until it stops rotating. If you get stuck which way to open it up, then just look for this little notch here and you see that we can only actually open it up one way. It has a lock on the roll and pan axis for storing away to protect everything and folds down into an absolutely tiny form factor. Now, how well does it actually work? And to be honest, it actually works surprisingly well. If we compare shooting completely handheld to shooting on this gimbal, you can see a massive difference, especially in this running shot. Now, of course, it's not going to be 100% perfect, but for something that is literally a fraction of the size that fits in your pocket and is less than 100 Australian dollars, it's pretty impressive. Now, I'll be honest, I've never really wanted a phone gimbal because I guess for me, if I want to shoot something, I may as well shoot it on a proper camera. But recently, because of the quality of the video coming out of phones these days, I have actually started shooting on this a little bit more, and it would be nice to have something to make it a little bit more stable. But again, if I'm gonna have to lug around a massive gimbal just to stabilize this, then I may as well just take my main camera and use that instead. And over the past few weeks, I've literally just thrown this in my back pocket when I've been going out on little adventures with Ash, just when I've been shooting on my phone, and I've actually used it a lot more than I expected. The Smooth X comes with an app called ZY Cami, and this allows you to use the buttons on the actual gimbal itself to control the mode, shooting position, start and stop record, zoom, and also adjust the axes. But honestly, I haven't actually really been using the app that much because for me, I just want to quickly whip this out, throw my phone on and get a couple of shots, and to have to wait for it to connect to the app via Bluetooth, and sometimes it didn't actually connect. And then I never really actually used the buttons on this anyway. So for me, I just quickly chucked on the camera and then used on this. But if you did want to use the app, there is a bunch of features, including being able to set the frame rate, resolution, as well as the ISO and shutter speed if you want to add a little bit more control. You can shoot photos, videos, automated panoramas, time lapses, motion lapses, hyperlapses, and even pre-made mini movies. So if you're not too savvy in the editing suite, then you can just choose one of these and it tells you exactly what you need to do, edits it all together with you, adds some music, and then exports it out ready to go. Now, hands down, the motion lapse feature would have to be the best bit about the app itself. Even some of the more expensive Gimbal's apps doesn't actually include this. How we create this is by going to time lapse, then by heading up to this little triangle up the top, click it and click on path. Now we just move to our start point using the joystick and press the plus sign, then to an end point or to a middle point if you want to add a few different points, then set our length and interval time and just let it do its thing. And the other really cool thing about the Smooth X is actually this little extension pole that is built in. Now I think they marketed this as like a bit of a selfie stick, but you can use it for way more. My all-time favorite shot to get is using this as a crane and starting up really high, then craning down all the way to just centimeters off the ground. And I was pretty impressed by some of the shots I was able to get off what I would consider a pretty budget gimbal. Now one thing I did want to test out is if there was like a certain way to hold it that would make it as stable as possible. So I shot in normal mode, extended out, and also underslung as well. And I was actually surprised to see that shooting with it normally was actually the most stable. Now I honestly thought that extending it out would make it a little bit more stable, especially on that tilt axis, but unfortunately I was actually wrong. Another awesome feature of the Smooth X is that you can shoot either horizontal or vertical mode with just 2 clicks of the mode button. Now this is super handy, especially if you're shooting in that vertical mode, because typically you'd have to kind of like rearrange the phone on the gimbal, and it was actually really hard to do. So by just being able to click the button twice and get into that vertical mode, absolute game changer. Now, if you do want to conserve a bit of battery when using this, if you actually just let go of the handle, it'll flick back into place. And once you click it into there, it'll actually sleep the motor so you can save a little bit of power there. But Zhiyun says you should be able to get about 4 hours of runtime with a max of about 5.5 hours. So if you turn it on and off throughout the day, you should easily be able to get a full day's use out of it. Now, overall, I'm actually surprisingly impressed by this. I was not expecting anything fancy, but the results that were coming out of it were actually semi-decent and actually usable. All the shots I got were on the iPhone XS Max, but if you do pair it with an iPhone 11 Pro with the new stabilization, you'll get even smoother shots, which will be absolutely amazing. So if you're just looking for a absolutely tiny gimbal that you can literally throw in your pocket just to get rid of those little shakes and to make your footage a little bit smoother, then this is an amazing option. Now, if you do want to go into the draw to win one of these gimbals, then make sure that you are subscribed and leave a comment below letting me know what you would use this for. And also add your Instagram handle as well, so I have an actual way of contacting you, and I'll announce the winner in 2 weeks on the 5th of August. Or if you want a second chance to win one of these, then just head over to my Instagram page, check out the Zhiyun Smooth X post, and again, let me know in the comments below what you do with one of these or why you want one of these gimbals. If you've enjoyed this look at the Zhiyun Smooth X, then consider liking and subscribing, and a massive thanks to Zhiyun as well for sending this out and sending over these giveaways for me to give out to you guys. If you want to find out more or where to buy it, I'll leave some links down below, and as always guys, stay creative and just be you. See ya.